Welcome everyone. We are going live right now. Welcome to another online session. I'm very excited to talk about tonight's session. About it is related to self-paced courses and instead of traditional professional development. So again, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are. So before we start the session, a quick reminder that the main objective or the mission of Everyone Academy is to encourage online collaboration among individuals and everywhere. Also develop a sense of community and provide equal chances for everyone to have to get access to education. So good evening, Vicky.
Hello, so glad to be here with you.
So before we start the session, I would like to present Vicky to the audience. Vicky is an instructional coach, and she has a lot of experience in this area. So I will let her do a little introduction about her background, and then we can start sharing the PowerPoint presentation. And after that, we will give some time for your comments, questions, etc. It will be practical and interactive, hopefully.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So yes, my name is Becky Lim. I am a digital learning coach in the Chicagoland area in Illinois, so in the US. Excited to join you all. For the past 3 years, I was an instructional coach in California. Definitely learned the impacts of switching from face-to-face or in-person professional development to online or the self-paced course model. Aziz, are you good if I start sharing? Can we dive in?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to share my screen and let's go in here. You should be able to see, there we go. And let me go into present mode. I have just a few slides that I'll walk through, and then I actually want to go through creating a self-paced course, how I've done it in the past, and the benefits of going self-paced versus saying, let's come together or do a live session. So right now we're in a live session. I've done many of these with teachers, which is great if teachers can join at the time of the course. I've also recorded sessions and had teachers watch them afterwards. I just know that sometimes it's really easy to put them in super fast speed, watch them later, and then not do much with the information. So self-paced courses do have the perk of actually engaging the participants. They're going at a pace that's appropriate for them. They're taking breaks, they're adding in their comments. You can kind of see where their struggles are, all of that. So as Aziz was saying, we're going to be talking all about creating self-paced courses instead of traditional professional development and truly meeting teachers where they are. There's so much going on that to pull people together right now is incredibly hard. So a few lessons learned from the pandemic, one being that we don't have to be face-to-face anymore to gain professional development hours. I know in the state of Illinois, we have to complete, I think it's 120 professional development hours every 5 years, and we have to document and log those. There are now so many other ways to gain those hours besides saying go to a conference or miss a half day with students or miss a whole day with students or watch this video. Like there are many other ways. And so taking those lessons that we've learned from the pandemic and actually tying them into self-paced courses is beneficial for a lot of teachers. I will say that this doesn't work for everybody, but there are pros to actually allowing teachers to come in, pick the courses that they want, take those courses, earn their hours, and we'll go through that whole thought process behind it all. But some of the benefits is that we're able to still have professional development throughout the school. I know in my district, and I believe all across the states, I'm not sure everywhere else, we have a major sub shortage right now. And so trying to get a substitute teacher is actually really hard. The last thing we're going to do is say we're all of second grade teachers, you're going to have a sub for a half day so you can come to a training, because we just can't get enough substitute teachers to fill classrooms. And so with a self-paced course, you don't need those substitute teachers coming to fill a classroom. Teachers are able to do the course during their planning time or after school at a time that's convenient for them. We have devices for all teachers. We've got everything set up for remote learning. So I do know there are teachers who, like me, would rather go home, put on their pajamas, sit down in front of their computer and take a course a little bit at a time, as opposed to an entire half day dedicated to one course, learn it all and move on. Self-paced courses do allow you to step away, try on some of the strategies, and then come back and reflect on what you tried on. When creating self-paced courses, I will say the biggest thing, and we'll do this here in just a minute, is to actually start with the purpose and the goals of the training. So there are instances where I've been asked to do PD, not this year, but in the past. We want to get all teachers trained on using Google Classroom. Well, I need to take a few steps back and see, what is the goal? Is the goal that we're using Google Classroom every day with students? Is it that we're using Google Classroom as needed? Who all needs this training? All of that. So we really need to know what knowledge and skills that educators need to learn to effectively address student learning problems in their classroom. And then also what content is needed to support teachers along with the duration of the course. So that is hard when it comes to creating a self-paced course, deciding how many hours to give for professional development, how long you want it to be. I will tell you, the last thing any teacher wants is to have to complete a 10-hour course on their own within a 1-week time frame. That's just too much to put on top of the everyday. But if you said this is a 10-hour course and you've got 12 weeks to complete it, that's about an hour a week. Some teachers are going to be more likely to do that. So coming up with that duration for your professional development is really helpful. Also, deciding again what knowledge and skills are required for you to be successful with completing this course, and how long it's going to take for you to actually understand and transfer that knowledge and those skills into your classroom. And then once you have your goals and your purpose behind the professional development, just like if you were meeting face-to-face, it's time to pace out your course. So typically if I'm meeting with teachers in person, I'll come up with an agenda. When it comes to a self-paced course, my agenda looks a little bit more like a syllabus. And it looks a little bit more like, here's the overview, here's kind of how it's paced out, here's how many lessons there are, what you're going to do with each lesson. And then as I'm pacing out my course, I add in as many specifics as possible. So that's the end of the slideshow. I didn't want to spend too much time in here because I think it's more valuable that we talk about the creation of the course. And as I'm going, Aziz, feel free to jump in with any questions. But
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So I actually really like to use Jamboard for ideation and coming up with those new courses. So we're going to give this one a name, and we're actually going to call this one a training on Google Classroom. Although I'm sure many teachers are well versed in this, that's one area you could do. You could also have a training on, reading intervention, math intervention, Makerspace, any of those types of things. Actually, maybe let's change this. Let's have fun with it. Let's do a Makerspace training, and maybe not everyone knows what that is. And that's okay. Makerspace is it's a space where students get to create and make. And so I've got one in each of my schools, and a lot of teachers don't know what to do with the tools that are in that space. So I can create a quick training on that. I'm just going to title this Makerspace, come up with my goals. And so my goal for this training would be that I would want teachers walk away understanding the benefit of using high tech and low tech in their classrooms, and how to access and utilize the tools in the Makerspace. So that's quite a goal, but that would be my goal for teachers walking away from this course. So now I've got The title of my course is going to be Makerspace, and I can always change this later. Benefits of using Jamboard, I can edit later at any time. I've got my goal. I really want teachers to understand the benefit of using high tech and low tech in their classroom. I also want teachers to know how to utilize the tools in Makerspace, how to check them out, all of that. So my next step is going to actually be blocking out each of my days. So we're just going to start with a few days here. I'll do Control D to duplicate this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit one more. Close enough. There we go. So I've got a few days in here. And again, I need to know about how long I want to make this. If my goal
How
is
do you make this one?
Yeah, definitely. So I was just in Jamboard. I came into this shape feature right here on the left-hand side, and I made a square, and I just figured out the size, and then I use Control D to duplicate it. So they're all the same size.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. So I've got these spaced out. I want teachers to understand the benefit of high tech, low tech. So I feel like high tech is going to be a day of its own. Low tech is going to be a day of its own. I also typically want to start with the purpose of the training. So day one for me is always going to be the purpose. And then maybe I go into day two, which is going to be understanding high tech. Day three could be low tech. And day four might be Makerspace tools. And as I'm building this out, now I already know with Makerspace, there's so much happening, and this is so new to so many teachers that 4 days wouldn't be enough, or 4 lessons wouldn't be enough. So you can look at each of these spaces as a day, an hour, or a lesson. I like to look at them as like 1 day type of thing. 1 day could be about an hour's worth of work, or 1 week. But this is how I'm going to divide it up. And so I'm going to start by coming up with the purpose. And then I want to add in different ideas. So are there videos? I'm going to look for, and I'm going to come over here and now start adding some sticky notes, purpose. I'm going to look for videos on YouTube about Makerspace. And that's just one idea. I'm also going to, when it comes to setting the purpose, I'm going to ask a question. I want teachers to tell me like a check for understanding, or show what you know. I guess this would be a show what you know. And I would have teachers tell me what they know about Makerspace. So that way, as I'm checking this, I have like from the first session, here's what they told me. Now at the very end, when I do a check for understanding, I can see how their ideas have grown and what they've learned. So these are both going in day one, and I'm just going to keep coming up with as many ideas as I can for the purpose. I also am going to give them an overview of the professional development. I'm going to type PD for short. In that first lesson, I might come up with a fun activity, a digital activity to engage the learners. So that might be like my hook. And now I can close out of here, and I'll put all of these in purpose, and I can move these around in any order. So for example, I probably want to start with an overview, then have teachers do your show what they know, then give a quick video, and then have them engage in an activity. And then for high tech, I would do the same thing. I would come up with sticky notes. I like things color coordinated, so I would change the color, and I would again include everything I can around what teachers need to know with high tech. If I find that I've got 5, 6, 7 sticky notes in here, or I'm getting 10 plus, that means I probably need to divide it up into 2 different sections. But totally up to you and the teachers you're working with and the purpose. Now, I'm not going to do this for each day. I'm just going to show you this one first day, but you get the gist of it. You want to create spaces for each section. And then I prefer to create my self-paced courses in Google Classroom. I like Google Classroom, 1, because it's free, 2, because we are a Google for EDU district and all of my teachers have access to Google Classroom, and it's just something I'm comfortable with. Canvas is also another good one. There's quite a few good ones out there. So whatever you're using in your district, use that for your self-paced courses. I would never bring in a Canvas course into my district because the teachers in my district haven't used it, and at least not within the district setting. And so then I would have to teach them a new platform before they could even dive into the course. They're comfortable with Google Classroom, so that's what I would use. So I'm going to come up here to the right-hand corner and create a classroom. So create a class. I've read and understand. And then I need to give it a name. So this is going to be Makerspace PD, Professional Development, or my district will call them PDHs. I want to give it a section. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to call it 2021, 2022, and technology, and there's no room. Now you can leave these 3 blank if you want to, or you can fill them in. It's totally up to you. You can always change it later. I've created entire courses and then gone back later and been like, oh, I need to change the name. That's really not what it is anymore, but feel free to change that. I do like to customize my course because this right here, this image just doesn't do my course justice. It's not at all what we're doing. I'll be honest, I usually make my own theme in Canva, but I'm going to select a theme today. And they've got one with some technology. I'll use that one today, but I just did that by customizing and selecting a theme. Otherwise, I would upload my own. And like I said, I usually use Canva. Canva's got so many ready to use. I'm happy to dive into that if anyone wants it. Before I do a whole lot, I always come up here and change my settings. So I come to the right-hand corner and click on the gear to change my settings. So this is where I could change the name. I could add in my description. This is where I would add in the goal of my course. I would also add in how long I expect this to take. So if I came back here, I'm looking at 4 days, and then I would want a closing day or 4 or 5. So I would say about 4 to 5 hours of professional development. I like to give that timeline like right up front so it's not a surprise and people know that they can take it at their own pace. You may even want to include that. This is at your own pace. Just so as teachers are looking at it, they're not thinking, oh no, I need to set aside 4 hours tonight to get through all of this. We don't really want that. We want them to, again, go through a part, try it on, give feedback, reflect, do all of that. So then the next thing, manage invite codes. I like to keep this turned on. I actually like to use this invite link to invite teachers to the course. You could directly invite teachers, but by using this link right here and just copying, you share it out with teachers, they click on the link, they're now part of your class. All right. Stream is another one I like to change. Although it's nice for people to be able to post, it does flood the stream a bit, and it's hard to manage if you've got 4 or 5 different professional developments going on at once, or the self-paced professional developments going on at once. So I put that students can only comment, meaning I can create posts, but then the teachers who are now joining this professional development can only comment on my posts. I also change where it says classwork on the stream. I always hide that notification. It just gets too cluttered for me and makes the course confusing. The best thing you can do when creating self-paced PD is make it as streamlined as possible. So we don't want teachers to have to look in 5 different places to find the information. We want it all right up front, easy to access. They should be able to look at it and say, okay, here's what I'm doing this day, or here's what I'm doing for this section. Here's what I'm doing for this section. If you have classwork show on the stream, then it's just very messy and hard to see what they're supposed to be looking at and what they're not. So, and then meet links on this account that I'm using right now. I don't have permission to create one, but within my district, I could. If you ever plan on having meetings, you could generate that meet link in here. And then I always turn mine to no overall grade. Again, depending on how your district's set up, how you do your professional development, you could change this, but the idea of grading teachers just isn't something I need from this. I'd rather take away from their reflections, read those, and use that to align the next professional development or meet with those teachers individually. So I don't worry about the grading. I keep that off and don't get into that too much. Then I'm just going to click save. So now my stream is ready to go. I'll usually add an announcement in here, welcoming everyone. Welcome to this self-paced professional development on Makerspace. Give them an idea again. This will take about 4 to 5 hours total. Feel free to pause, walk away, come back, and reflect. Add as much as you want. Leave a nice welcoming message. Let them know how to contact you. I always add in my email so that way they know how to contact me. And then I post this for everyone. You could also add in a video up here that I'm going to post for everyone. Now, when they come in, teachers can post in here. They can say hello. I've also gone as far as saying the dates for the course. There have been courses in the past that I've made where it was like, this needs to be done by this date. So I'll put those in here as well. Quite a bit that you can do in here, but the stream truly is just to give those messages and announcements. The next tab over, our classwork tab, this is where we're going to really start developing our professional development. So I am going to go half screen if that's okay. And so I can see both my Jamboard, and you know what, let me change my share settings so you can see my entire screen. There we go. Now you should see Jamboard on one side, Google Classroom on the left side. I like to set it up this way so that way as I'm creating my course, I can see each of the days and I can see each of the activities that I want to add in here. So I'm going to start by creating. I will say I prefer to have a topic that is just like resources or valuable information before I dive into day one or topic one or hour one, whatever you choose to call that. So this is going to be resources. And again, I just went up to create and I have a topic here. Within resources, I would create all of my materials. So I could have, some type of syllabus or schedule / agenda, whatever you choose to call it. And then I would create one within a Google Doc and just let them know, here's the layout, here's the format. So that way they can come in here, they can see if there are due dates or see the order of how to complete everything. But I would have that as a material and I would put that under my resources topic. Another material that I like to add in resources is a quick video of myself. And so again, I'm going to come in here, add a material, and this would be my welcome video. Because we're not meeting face-to-face, I want them to see that there is a face behind this course and that who the person that they're reaching out to is real. I want them to know who I am. So I'll usually come in here and create a quick video and add that here, whether I add it through YouTube or I just do a quick screencastify and add the link. I like to add that in here. So a welcome video, again, I'll put that under resources and post. You can decide the order of how you want everything. In my district, we have to do a sign in, sign out for all PD. So I would also probably add that in here. Sign in / out after completion of each session. However you want to word that. And I noticed I forgot to give it a topic, so I just need to move that down in here. And again, I would include that as a material. Once I've got my resources ready to go, I'm going to create topics for each of my different parts of my session. So I'm going to go to create and do a topic. And I'll create one for purpose. Another topic on high tech. I'm going to call it tools / resources. another one for low-tech tools / resources, and a final topic on Makerspace tools. Now, I like resources to stay at the top, so I'm going to drag that up here, and then I like it to follow a set order. So I'm just clicking and dragging and moving them around. I have found that if I make my topic very, or if I make my classroom super organized and I don't just put, purpose, but if I actually change this name to be part 1 or step 1, either one of those, that let's do part 1. Part 1 purpose, and this to be called part 2. It tells the learner which order to go in. So resources, that's somewhat self-explanatory. That's just resources for the course. If you want to give it a further name, you could, but then they're going to go part 1, part 2, part 3, and rename to part 4. So it helps the learner. We also want some type of evaluation at the end. So I want to give a part 5 evaluation and completion of course. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But once you've got all of those ready to go, oops, let me go back to all topics, move that down. We've now got our resources, all of our topics, and then it's time to come in here and add in the materials, what teachers are going to learn from, what they're going to take away, what they're going to do with each day. Like I said, in my Jamboard, I like to put as much as possible. One thing I didn't include was, although I put a video from YouTube about Makerspace, adding a video, like creating a video yourself and putting that in there is helpful. Keeping that video to 6 minutes or less is even more helpful, because then you're not expecting someone to sit down for an hour and watch you do it, but you're saying, here's a quick overview of, part 1, what I hope you take away from it. Here's each of the activities within part 1. Always really helpful to do. So you just come up in here, and if you are creating, a part 1 purpose video, again, you could do that in Screencastify, YouTube, wherever you want. Put that in part 1. I create it as a material because there's nothing they need to turn in. But then for, I guess that would fall under overview. But then show what you know. That's one I would probably do. So I'm right here, show what you know in here. I would do that either as a question or as an assignment. I'm going to do this one as a question. Show what you know. And I would just say, what do you, or, what is your experience with Makerspace in the classroom? What do you, or what benefits does incorporating a Makerspace have on your students' learning? And this gives teachers the opportunity to respond to some questions. I will keep it as a short answer. I don't want it multiple choice because this really is show me what you know. You could add a points value. Again, I don't like points values. I don't want to have to go in there and grade their responses. So instead, I would just keep it as ungraded. Depending on how you're setting up your course, you may have due dates. So if this is a 4-week course and you want them doing, the purpose section in week 1, well, then your due date needs to be at the end of week 1 for your course. And then, each of those under purpose would be due at the end of week 1. Under high tech, those would be due at the end of week 2. This is a self-paced course completely. So I actually am not going to give a due date at all. It is due when you complete it. You can decide if you want students to be able to reply to each other. It doesn't hurt. You can also allow students to edit their answer. I typically keep that off because this is a show what you know. I want you to show me what you know, and I don't want you to come back and change it after you read or watch each video. In this case, I'm going to turn off that students can reply to each other. I need to change my topic though. I do want this under part 1. And we'll click ask. So now students have a purpose video. I'll keep that at the top, and a show what you know. And then next I said I was going to put on a video that I find on YouTube. So again, this one is going to be, we'll just do an assignment here. And video about Makerspace. And I'm actually going to come in here and search for one. I would find this ahead of time just for today's sake. And this isn't a true PD that I'm going to send out to teachers. I'm going to look one up in here. Our new Makerspace STEM and STEAM in elementary classroom tour Makerspace. I've actually watched this one. It's really good, but it wouldn't help the one on the right. It wouldn't help teachers with understanding the benefits of Makerspace. Learning, problem solving, and growth mindset in a Makerspace. This one is great for younger learners, which is what I deal with. So I could put this in here. I've actually seen almost all of these. We're going to go with this one right here. Got a quick overview. Let's add that video. I would maybe give instructions. Check out this video. You could even include a document or ask them to share their key takeaways, whatever you want them to take from this. I just recently, like the previous assignment was asking them to type something. So this one truly might just be to check out this video. Again, ungraded, put it under my purpose and hit assign. So now I can see I've got purpose video, show what you know, a video about Makerspace. And then I would want to come up with a digital activity to engage my learners. So again, I'm going to come up with another assignment. And this is my engagement activity. This may be having students complete a digital breakout EDU and saying, you know, this, having them try it on. So that way when they come in here, or they try it on with their own students, they can say they've tried it on in a professional development, but I would actually have them try something on from Makerspace that they could do digitally. Or I could say, record yourself playing with 𝐬𝐨𝐿Zobots and trying out the 𝐬𝐨Zobots. Or I could even give a time and say, you know, the first Monday of every month at lunch, I'll have the 𝐬𝐨Zobots out on the table in my office. Feel free to come in and play. Once you've done that, check it off. So there's a lot of different ways to say, do this on your own, but at the same time, I want to show you the tools that we have. It could be going to a website and creating or going to Google Earth and creating their own project based off what they're learning. I know I've had students do that for learning about Native American landmarks, and they went in and found the different landmarks and what they look like today, and they did a tour in Google Earth. So lots of projects. I would just try to pull something in that could be used directly in the classroom, and then add that in here, give it your topic, and hit assign. So then my part 1 is pretty complete. Part 2, when they come back, we'll always start with a reflection from part 1 activities. And that can be a simple Google form. That could be a doc that you've created with different reflection questions that you're just going to use over and over and over. But I do recommend starting each day after day 1, because for part 1, start each one with the opportunity for reflection. So that way you can come in here and see, what did the teachers gain? Where have they grown? What misconceptions are there still? Because if they reflect on, let's say they're reflecting on the engagement activity and they're like, I honestly don't see how this fits into my core content that I have to teach. I don't see how this is going to benefit my students. That tells me, as the trainer or the person running this professional development, that I need to go in and add more details, or I need to go in and help them find that missing link to make sure everything connects. So just know that starting each of the following days with reflection is truly beneficial. And I do recommend reading through those. And if you can always create it as an assignment, like I said, a Google Doc or a form. The last thing I do, once I've built out all of my days, I go through and test everything. I mean, everything. And I complete the assignment just like I would if I was a teacher taking this course. I'll usually send it to one of my admin, ask them to go through it, make sure, 1, I don't want spelling errors. 2, I want to make sure all my videos work. 3, I want to make sure the assignments make sense, that there's a good flow. If I send it to admin and they come back and they're like, I actually don't know where to start, that tells me something. And I need to change things up a little bit, or I need to come into the stream and give an overview of where to start. So send it off to others to check before sending it to teachers. And then at the end, I like to create an evaluation of some sort. So in this case, I'm going to come into assignments, PD evaluation, and we're actually going to create from a form. So I just hit the plus sign and form. It's going to open up a new form for me. And you can call this form, I mean, it can just be, Makerspace PD evaluation, call it whatever you want. Ask all of your questions. They can be multiple choice. Sometimes having that linear scale is nice, on a scale of 1 to 5. What did you gain? Was this beneficial? You can ask about each of the different parts, all of that. But then you can set it up, and I might need to set up as a quiz. Let me double check. I'll check that in a second. But then what I like to do is use the add-on 𝐸. And I don't have it on here, but if you just go to add-ons, and I'll do that again because I did that pretty quick. So go to the 3 dots, click on your add-ons, and search for 𝐸. It'll pop up. This first one right here with the little certificate in them. Install this. It's pretty quick. Continue. I'll use my account and allow. I've used this quite a few times, and it's pretty cool because then once they've completed this evaluation, teachers can get a certificate that will automatically email to them, and that certificate can say how many PD hours or professional development hours they were awarded. It will let them know, like, yes, you've completed this, great job, all of that. So then I'm going to come in here, have them do their form. There's a few random questions, but we'll just pretend like those are about them. So now I've got the 𝐸 add-on. I can click on my puzzle piece, click 𝐸, and I'm going to show 𝐸 controls. It might take a second, confirm. All right. So right now, certification is off. I'm going to turn that on. Give it just a second. It will also allow me to get a certificate record. That passing rate is tricky because this is an evaluation. You can't really pass fail. So typically I set it at 0%. And then I don't have an issue with it. Anyone who completes the evaluation gets the certificate. Because I'd use the free version, I only have 99 remaining, but I can also change this template. It's going to give me an option of a couple of templates. I have created my own in the past. In this case, 4 to 5 hours worth of professional development, I would create my own certificate, and you can pull that from Canvas or Canva, pull it from anywhere, or you can just use one of theirs. If there's one in here that you really like, tooth, probably not. This one right here looks pretty nice. So I'm going to use that one today. Save changes. You can check out the advanced. Let's go into the advanced options to decide, what you want it to say. So thank you for submission. I don't want it to say if you passed, you'll receive a printable certificate. I want it to say, check your email to receive a printable certificate shortly. I don't know if I need to allow the CC. I haven't done that in the past. All right, and then it's going to send as a PDF, share as email. I'm in Chicago. It's going to follow that time zone. Perfect. We should be pretty good to go. You can also have it email you a sample. So you may have to change some of your wording in here and throughout this. And once you do that, it will send you an email sample. So that way you can make sure this is the wording I want it to say. I always include in my description how many hours of professional development that they're going to get. So that shows up on my certificate. So in this case, let's say it was 5 hours of professional development for completing the Makerspace self-paced course. And again, I would put a title here. I don't want it to be called exam because this really isn't an exam. So this would be Makerspace evaluation. Should automatically change there. And then once I'm done with that, it's ready to go. This is now turned on. I don't know that I have to link it. There we go. We're linked. All of that's ready. I can close this out. Put this under my topic of evaluation and hit 0 points. Almost missed that. Hit assign. And now they can do this PD evaluation. I don't have to send them any follow-up afterwards because once they complete the evaluation, and since I'm using CertifyEm, it's automatically going to email them their certificate that they can turn into human resources or whoever you turn in your certificates to, or maybe they don't need to turn it into anybody. They just want to print it off and hold on to it. They're welcome to do that. If you're giving out badges, because I know some districts are really big on doing badges, you could also include that badge in here, or you could send the badges out in batches at the completion of each one. But I like to streamline as much as I can. So I would create a material that says your completion badge, and I would just have that under part 5 as the very last thing. That's really like a quick overview of how I put together my self-paced courses, but I did want to walk you through some of those key components of adding in the evaluation, setting up each of my days in the Jamboard on this right-hand side. And you can always add more frames. So if I was doing more than 4 parts, I would add more frames and add in all of those. I would get very detailed in here. So once I've got this laid out, that's when I add in all of those little details to say, I really want to make sure I cover this. Don't forget to include this in the video. It takes time. So just like planning an in-person training, it takes time to plan a self-paced course, which is usually why it's worth more than 1 hour of professional development. If it's only worth 1 hour of professional development, I'm going to sit back and ask myself, is this meant to be a self-paced course? Or should it be just a quick video overview that they can watch and complete something? If I'm asking teachers to complete anything, it's usually going to be more than 1 hour, because now I'm saying, learn this new tool, learn this new resource, go in, incorporate it into your lesson plans, try it on with your students, and come back to me and tell me what you've gained, what you've learned, where you still need help. And when I'm doing that, that's definitely more than 1 hour's worth of their time. So I want to make sure to give them that credit. 4 or 5 hours. I've had some that are 10 hours. It really just depends on the content and the purpose. Honestly, if I create this Makerspace one, I'm probably looking at closer to the 10 hour mark. But that's kind of a quick overview. Any questions?
So far.
All right. Yeah, so that's really all I've got. You can come into the people tab, add people here. And then, like I said, I kind of just ignore the grades because I'm not worried about that. I've got the certificate to give out at the end, and I'm going to stop sharing. So that is kind of self-paced courses in a nutshell.
That's awesome. I was really listening eagerly to everything you are saying and explaining, and I will definitely watch this session over and over again. I am
Reach out. Yeah.
Yes, I am amazed. There are a number of comments I would like before moving to the questions. I have some comments about the sticky notes. They are awesome and a very great organizational tool, especially with the use of colors. So
Yes.
it's like an actual classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've gone through and I've incorporated Jamboard assignments, because I call them assignments because that's what they're called in Google Classroom, but I've incorporated those into my self-paced courses, where it's things like add sticky notes in each column to show, you know, explain your reasoning or your understanding of this and this. So I'm not afraid to include any tools that I would expect students to use in a self-paced course for teachers.
Yes, when you were explaining when you created the Google Classroom, there are maybe four sections. There is the stream, and there is, you know, you can create a topic. I have never used Google Classroom, but I was just wondering, is there a possibility to like differentiate learning using small groups, maybe
Good
through
question.
topics?
Yeah, let
Right?
me share my screen, and I'm going to make this. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I said, is it through topics or something else? Because I didn't catch it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of it's through so you can't differentiate like topics, but I have had in the past where if I did want to differentiate this, and I could have a topic called, I probably wouldn't call it differentiation, but we will for the sake of this conversation. So differentiation of part 1, every assignment that I put in here. So if I create an assignment, I would only assign it to those students or those teachers that need it. So you don't need to assign it to everyone. And so then if you're not assigned this topic, you wouldn't see it at all. Like you don't even know that it exists.
So you control the participants or the people who can see this assignment by adding them. It's like you are inviting them to small groups.
Exactly. Yep.
This is awesome.
Yep. Yeah, it's really nice for that feature. So you definitely can do that. I'll leave that in there. You could add in quite a few different small groups. And then when you go to add those assignments or the materials, only the people who you assign it to will see it. For most things, I just leave it as all students. And right now I don't have any students in here, but if I did, I could pick which students get to see which assignments. And what's nice too is the students who do get the assignment. So let's say I did differentiate and one student, you know, one group is getting this and another group is getting this. They have no idea that they don't all see the same thing. Like they don't know what anybody else's classroom looks like. They don't know that they're getting different assignments than somebody else. So I like that feature. It's very confidential for students and for teachers.
Yes, I tried the certified some weeks ago. It's amazing, but there is a process I didn't. I was not able to remember it. Yeah, I want to talk about it. It's not free certified. There is another one which is free. It's also embedded in Google.
Which one is it?
I'm talking about certified. It is not free.
It's free for up to 100 people. And so I usually don't have, more than 100 take a course. So I've never paid for it and I've been able to use it. But if I was having more than 100 take a course, then you would have to pay for it.
So let me quickly talk about certify them, and you can correct me later if I am wrong. So you create a Google form. You ask for specific information like email, the name, etc. And then you share the link with the participants or learners in this case, and they complete the form or they answer the questions, and the certificate is automatically generated with their full names and right.
Yep. So when I go in there, and I'm going to pull that up quickly. So I just did a new form. So this one's brand new. I typically turn on the certify them at the very beginning and enable certify them on this quiz. It always needs to be a quiz. So get started. And then it's going to add in a few things that it absolutely needs for you. So it needs to collect email. So it already added that in there for me. It needs to collect full name and then other identifier. This could be I mean, any question that you have. So then these are just questions. You can delete these too and come up with your own. Obviously, you don't have to use these. So this could be, you know, for example, which school are you at? School doesn't need to be capitalized. And it could be multiple choice. For me, I would do that just because I know which schools I have, or it could be a short answer. And then down here, this is where my questions would be. Question 1, and then I could add in as many as I want. And so right now, Certify Them is turned off and you just turn it on. And I get 99, it will give 99 free certificates for every single quiz or Google form that you create. And then, yeah, once you've done that, you're good to go. It's ready. You just choose your template.
There's a percentage you to pass the grade.
Yeah. So if this were something where it were graded, let's say it actually was a quiz and you had to get so many right to pass, you could say, you know, if you get 80% correct, then you've passed, you've completed it. When I'm doing a self-paced course, and if I'm doing or any evaluation, I set it at 0%. There's no passing. Like, you can't fail an evaluation. Even if you didn't like the course, you can tell me you didn't like the course. You're still going to get your certificate. You still did the work.
Yes,
so
yes.
I always set it to 0, but if it
the
was
experience
student
has to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty nice. Yeah. So Certify, I really like Certify Them a lot.
I like the fact that when you said that before you launch the course and you share it with participants, you try to see if the assignments make sense, if you can change things, or before you send it off to participants. This is really done by great you know, learning management systems like Coursera. So before they launch the course, they have like what they call the beta testers. They give it to participants, and this is good.
Yes, and I do recommend it every time, because every time I send it to a course to someone to look at, they always find at least one thing where like, oh, the link doesn't work, or this wasn't set up right. So definitely always check it before sharing it with teachers.
How do you also measure the hours, professional development hours for completing the course?
So that's
It's a little bit tricky.
It is. Yeah. So I go through and like I said, I go through and pretend like I'm a participant and go through every single activity and I clock those hours. I also take into account, like, if I'm asking you to come try something on,
Yes.
that's time. And then when whoever I send it to have them look at it, I ask them if, you know, about 4 hours is right or 5 hours is right. I ask them too on their opinion, because for me, Makerspace is something that's very near and dear to me. I don't need to do a lot of outside research. So I could go through this course very quickly. But for someone who's never heard of it before, they're probably going to go at a much slower pace. And so I've got to find that middle ground. I'll tell you, it's not a perfect science. It's really just took me about this long. The person who looked at the course, it took them about this long. Let's average it out. Or maybe they're more accurate because they went through this as if they were a student or a teacher learning the material.
And that's the beauty of self-paced approach. You know, slow learners can take their time to absorb the information and the materials, and fast learners they can become experts in the course. That's why
Definitely.
the self-paced approach is really amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Now, I will say one lesson learned that we got in my last district was the self-paced courses can be really nice. Forcing self-paced courses, not so nice. So that's something that needs to come from the district, but like saying this is a requirement that you complete this course outside of your work hours, all of that, you might run into some turmoil. So just make sure you've got the language down with your district, make sure that you're putting it out there in a way that it truly is self-paced, that teachers can opt into it, and you're more likely to gain gain the excitement for the course.
Yes, if it is forced, it won't be a good experience. Students will not enjoy it.
Not at all. They will rush through it as fast as they can.
Yes, before we conclude this session, Vicky, do you have any comments, any projects? I know that you are an author. Any other projects or something
Yeah,
related to this
definitely.
topic?
Yeah, so definitely feel free to reach out with any questions. I'm happy to support as you're creating your first self-paced course. You can find me on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter at Tech with Becky. I'm also on social media, BeckyLim_edu. But reach out. I'm happy to help with this. I do have a few projects coming up, which I'm excited to share. Aziz is one of our contributing authors. We have a book series coming out. Within the next few months, the first book will be coming out, and then it's 4 books in total called Amplify Learning, a Global Collaborative, where we brought in educators from around the world to share educational technology tools and how they're using them in their classroom with different focuses on content or pedagogy, all of that. So it's a really cool series. I'm super excited to get it out there and to truly amplify those educator voices such as Aziz and all the others who've contributed to this book. It's been a fun project bringing it all together. So be on the lookout for Amplify Learning.
It's an awesome
Coming soon.
project.
Yeah.
My
Thank you.
greetings to Matthew, to all the other authors from India, from the United States, from many different places. So Vicky, thank you so much for this great, awesome session.
Thank
we
you.
learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. I know it's getting late there for you, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.